everyone, welcome to Pjs Thriving. A while back I did a video on finding out that my dad was not my dad through AncestryDNA. He gave us all a test. He got one and he gave us all a test as a gift a couple of years ago, and we all thought it was going to just show us where our heritage was, yada yada yada. He never realized that it was going to do DNA test, and because I didn't pay attention to it for the first year, it wasn't until we were trying to establish our connections with nieces and nephews, it comes out that she wasn't really my niece, and my dad isn't really my dad. And because I didn't pay attention and really dive into the Ancestry.com in the beginning, it was almost a year when I went back in and really started playing with it and just engulfing myself in it. There was all kind of messages and family members that I had that I didn't know I had, and they had already, once my DNA hit, they had already tried to contact me. So I've made contact. I have 3 brothers, and I'm the only one that looks like my dad. They all look like their mom. And that's fine. And, coming from my side of the family that I grew up with, it was a very dysfunctional family, and everything that could be wrong with how a parent could do their child wrong, my parents did, including very illegal, immoral, and unethical issues. And my brothers and my dad's side of the family are so the opposite, like totally to the extreme opposite of where I came up from. And there was so much dysfunction and abuse and just all kind of stuff happening, and so opposite that my father's side of the family, they were all counselors, foster parents, child counselors, and engineers, and it's exciting. They're all smart. Growing up, school came very easy to me, and that's one of the things that my parents pitted me and my sister and my brother against each other, was because they were always comparing us. Why can't you be like me? Why can't you be like Peggy? Why can't you have better grades? So there was, issues between me and the siblings because I didn't ever have to try. It was just educationally easier for me. But anyway, I have met 2 of the brothers, and I got to meet one of my nieces. And this COVID thing ever dies down, I think they were planning a family reunion down in Louisiana anyway, so. I'm excited for that coming, hopefully this coming year, be able to meet some more people. I will never be able to meet my dad. Like I said, he passed away in 1975, but he still has a couple of brothers, a sister, and then I have siblings. So I'm excited for that new chapter. My sister did her DNA finally. It sat on her dresser for a year and a half. When she found out that that dad wasn't my dad, she went ahead and did hers and mailed it in. So we were, are we half siblings or are we real siblings? Do we have the same dad? Well, it turns out that we're half siblings. So the dad that raised us isn't her dad either. And my dad was in the Navy, and he was in Vietnam. He did 3 tours in Vietnam. And each time that my dad came back, he had to kick somebody else out of his house that was living with my mom. So my mom had a thing for military men in uniform, and we just kind of joke and say, well, she apparently had a thing for all military men, all of them. And it turns out that this whole last year I have been researching and doing DNA and, downloading DNA and uploading it to this program and to that program and all kind of different ones to try and find, like, my biological family was there. They had already been on Ancestry. There was already DNA matches, close relative matches, siblings to be exact, aunts, uncles, cousins, lots of them. But for my sister, there was nothing. The closest relative was, on the DNA, it showed second and third cousins, but the DNA where hers was coming from was split between two separate families. And no, they weren't, growing up, they weren't close to each other. And all the people that did have the answers were elderly and not in contact with each other. So it made it kind of hard, but because of our childhood and because my situation, my biological family are normal people for the most part. There's always some in the family, but for the most part, normal, educated, non-drama, most part, family. So my sister never had that, and I have been late nights, a lot of late nights of researching and doing cross chromosome checks, trying to find some answers for my sister. And it finally paid off, and through a process of elimination, through a lot of family members. And when someone outside is emailing and asking questions about family, I don't either, but they're not so eager to answer because, number one, they don't know who we are. And even though I tried to explain what we were doing, they still don't want to air out dirty laundry. And on the other hand, because it was such a long time ago, we don't know where family members are, where close family members are. We didn't know what happened, and we didn't want to go gung-ho with all these new people and maybe bust up a family. So it was kind of very touchy subject, kind of like walking on eggshells, but it finally did pay off. I found a man through other family members of helping me put the puzzle pieces together, and it took a little over a year, and I finally found a work email for him. A lot of research and Facebook stalking and all kind of stuff. And I sent him an email, and I would say within a couple of days he emailed me back saying, yes, he is such and such. And then I emailed a question, do you know both families? And he's like, well, yes. And then he is older. Well, not older, but he's the same age as the dad that raised us. Just in much better health. So through several emails, I didn't want to just come out and say, but we did find out that he was in the military and that he was in California during that time frame that my mother got pregnant with my dad. But he was sure that it wasn't him because he wasn't in a relationship, nor was he kicked out of somebody's house. So that just added another one to the list. But the bottom line was the family members on both sides of his family are still relatives to my sister. So I said, well, I didn't come out and say it to him. I let him come to the conclusion. He was like, oh, well, maybe I should do a DNA test. And I said, well, this might not be that, but it could be that you're a relative and somehow we're trying to piece these puzzle pieces together. So he did the DNA test, and sure enough, he came back as parent-child 100%. So I'm excited for my sister, but at the same time, my sister is very shy and afraid to move forward because she doesn't know how she's going to be accepted. So I kind of made that first step for them. And they have emailed each other a couple of times so far. This is very new, so it's exciting for her. And at the same time, she's in no rush. So we're just taking one day at a time right now. And, you know, it's exciting. And she also has, and it's because it's more exciting for her. Her biological father is still living and still, I guess, pretty healthy. And she has 2 sisters and a brother. And I think one of them or 2 of them have children. So she has nieces and nephews too. And just to let everybody know, there was, from my mother, there was my sister, me, and my brother. And my brother just passed away in January from COVID-19. My dad has, the one that raised us, has come to the realization, which is before that his only biological child was my brother. And then right after all that hit, this was in January, when all of that came to light, my brother got COVID and passed away. So my father is the one that raised us, is a hot mess right now. And that's where I'm just getting back from his house. But we don't talk about this or bring any of this up in front of him just because he's elderly, 77, 78. But he's very ill and on oxygen. He's got advanced emphysema and COPD, and he's got several things, failing kidney, and he's got several things, and he's lost my mom 5 years ago. He just lost my brother, and this, us finding out about our real families is just too much for him to handle. Now, we're trying to be the nice children, let alone, we had not been in his life since we were teenagers until this last 10 years. My mom had a massive stroke and she passed away, and now because my dad is elderly, the kids have gotten back together with him and trying to help him out. So we're trying to rebuild, I guess, relationships. And at the same time, I found out he lied to me. He knew that I wasn't his for 50 years. And that's come out, and, that's just created other issues. But we only know him as dad, and right now that's how we're going to keep it, because we don't know how much time he has left. And he lost his only son, so... But on the other hand, for my sister, it's really good news, and it's exciting. It's new steps, it's new family, it's new ventures. So that's it for today on the part 2 of the update of the Ancestry.com. So thanks for watching and listening, and well, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button to follow our journeys, and leave me a comment. Let me know, have y'all had any kind of issues with this? Do you know anything about this Ancestry.com and all the DNA? What do y'all think? So please leave me a comment. All right, guys, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye till next time.